In this video, we will be working on starting up our iOS project and setting up a layout for our final product. Fire up Xcode and click on Create a new Xcode project. In this screen, you will see a bunch of templates available where you can start from. You can create bunch of projects and see what they all do, but for this project, let me focus on iOS application and focus on single view application in particular. A single view application is nothing but an application with a single view or say a single page. Same as activity which we did in Android. Next, let's give this project a name. I will call this app My Instagram app. Organization name, you can give your company name, or if you don't have one, just give your name. Next, we have organization identifier or something we call reverse domain name. I have my website vivinarana.com, so reverse of that is com.vivinarana. You can just give any name, like you can just say your first name dot last name and it will take it. We provide all this information just to create a bundle identifier, which should be unique for every app in App Store. So if you see here, Xcode takes these details you entered and will create a unique identifier com.vivinarana.my-instagram-app. Since we will be working in Objective-C, let's leave that as it is, and we will be focusing only on iPhone. You can select iPad or universal, where universal means for both iPhone and iPad. For now, we'll just keep iPhone. Make sure the next three checkboxes are unchecked. These are used for some advanced topics which we do not cover in this particular course. So press next. Here you have to specify where you want to save the project. I would like to save mine in the apps folder that I've created in my documents folder. Press create and we are all done. This is the first screen you will see when you complete the steps. By default, it shows you the information for the project. Xcode has placed top buttons to run your app and also has a device selected on the top where it will run the project. For me, it says iPhone 6s Plus. You can change that to anything that you want. You can try to run this app as it is and it will still run but show you a white blank screen. On the top right, we also have some buttons to set up the IDE to your preference. Play around with these and see what you would prefer. Open the simulator. If it's not open, you can press the play button and open it. Let's make sure they are next to each other so we can see how our output looks as and when we play around with Xcode. Now let's look in more detail. You can see on top we have all details of the project in identity, also some deployment information, what device, what orientation and things. So let's open up the supporting files group on the left and you will find a file called as main.m. This is the first file that is executed when your project runs. All you need to know here is that it calls something called as UI application main function and passes the class app delegate to it. This does a bunch of things. It will try to get the layout from the previous info screen we say, where it knows that it has to pick up main storyboard from the application to draw the layout of the app, which we will look at shortly. But let's go to app delegate. App delegate has .h and .m files. .h is the header file where all the variables and functions are defined, even the name of the class and basic class structure. .m is the implementation file where the actual code is implemented. So if you see this screen again, in the middle it specifies main interface to be a file called main. To be specific, it's main.storyboard. Let's go to main storyboard file and see what it has. Let's hide the utilities pane by clicking on the top right button. This will let us see the screen more clearly. If you see here, we have a screen which represents the first view for the app. It is square and doesn't look like an iPhone screen. The reason being it's using something called as size classes, which we will not be covering in this tutorial. So let's disable it. You can open utilities pane again and in it Go to the first tab. In the middle, you will see use size classes checkbox checked. Let's uncheck that. You will see an alert message confirming and asking what you want the target to be. Let's select iPhone and press disable button. Also, on the top right of utilities, you can change the size from inferred to iPhone 5.5 inch, so it will display you how the app will look in iPhone 6s Plus. There you go. Now we have a screen that looks like an iPhone Plus screen. Now let's hide the navigation pane and see how main storyboard looks like. If you see, there's an arrow coming from somewhere pointing at our screen. It's telling the storyboard that this is the first screen or the initial screen. If you open the utilities pane and click on properties in the center tab, you will see the checkbox checked which says is the initial view controller. Let's add a bar on the top. We can do this by embedding this particular view controller in a navigation controller. Just select editor, embed in navigation controller, and there you go. Our main first view is now embedded in a navigation controller and it will have a navigation bar on the top. Double click on the navigation bar and add a title, My Instagram App. On the right side, go to the bottom Object Library tab where you can find different elements which you can just drag and drop into your screen. Let's drop a text field and a button and place them as shown here. Storyboard will provide you with guides which will help you lay out these different items in orderly manner. Select the text field and you will see properties of it on the right pane. Change the placeholder to enter search term. Also at the bottom, let's search for collection and now you will see a collection view which we can use to draw collection of images. Drag and drop that just below your text field and button and make sure it fits on the screen. Click on the size inspector on the top in the right pane while having the collection view selected and change the cell size to be 125 by 125. Also section insets to 5 by 5. These are just these insets are just to provide some margin and draw the images inside the cells. If you want to support this application to run on all the devices, go to the bottom and select reset to suggest constraints, something that I'm doing here. It will add constraints that will make your layout flexible to look similar on different screen sizes. Maybe it's iPhone 4, iPhone 5 or iPhone 6. Okay, that's all for the right pane. Close it and let's run the application. You will see a black screen where you added collection view. Since we have not given a background color to this collection view, by default if it doesn't have anything it will show black background screen. Let's add a background color of white as default and then run it again and there you go, we have our application layout running. So great, um, so great on following along and creating your layout for iPhone. That's all for this video. Follow along and next video to write some code and make some magic happen.